Okay, welcome to Stephen Follows Instructions. Today we're doing installing Authentik for authentication and single sign-on. You're seeing me attempt to screen it live. There's a new thing. I just installed or updated OBS. There's a new thing, a YouTube live control panel. I don't know what it does, but it showed up with OBS. It was just here. Here's my OBS. Sorry about the endless recursion, and it was just there. But other than existing, it appears to have no function. So, okay, that's kind of weird, but there you have it. Here it is. So here we are. Going to be following some instructions from Dave Lane at OERU. And this is the page now. I would like to advertise that I'm doing this again. What I was hoping with this thing was that it would tell me what the URL was. So here we are. Going to be following some instructions from Dave Lane at all right. So yeah, I wanted to post something to Mastodon. It's still early in the morning. My vocalization isn't everything it could be yet. Going live on Stephen Follows Instructions right now. And I'll just put in the title. There we go. And we'll put some spaces in for easy reading. Try not to delete part of the thingy. Okay. Post that. There we go. Okay, so now the world knows that I'm doing this, or has the potential of knowing that I'm doing this. So here we are. So for those of you who are not familiar with the series, and there may be many, what I do in Stephen Follows Instructions is I find an instruction page like this one, and I try to follow the instructions to do interesting and useful things on the internet. And the catch is, more often than not, these instructions fail hilariously, including some of Dave Lane's in the past. So, but the way they fail is always instructive, and of course the fun part is when the instructions fail, I don't just give up. I try to reason my way through them, and often I make a lot of progress before ultimately the entire project collapses in a heap. But sometimes they work, and when they work, then I've done something really useful for me. So you can follow the channel on my YouTube account. I don't know, I've got 40 some episodes of this so far, and of course I'm going to continue. And maybe one day this will be used. I was just watching Taskmaster, so some of it's carried over. Maybe one day this will be used to train artificial intelligence. Although I don't think artificial intelligence will go down rabbit holes quite the way I do sometimes. Or, look, a squirrel sort of thing. No real squirrel. Although I do see outside the window there, and I've just filled up all the bird feeders, so there is hope. All right. Installing Authentik for authentication and single sign-on. Here's the context, in case you're interested. I'm working on a project, and the project is called Agora. Here it is. It's something I'm doing in my own time. It's not part of my day job, it's part of my night job. And different parts of Agora have different components. For example, here's an instance of PeerTube. And for example, here's an instance of WordPress, right? And for example, whoops, I went too far. I've got Nextcloud, and I've got some other services. I've got a Discourse instance, etc. And the problem with these is you have to sign into them all separately. Ask me how much people like that. They do not like that. So, I promised them and myself that I would investigate single sign-on so that we can do this all in one logon. Well, how do you do that? It's not straightforward. I've looked, unlike as usual. Usually when I do one of these things, I just start without reading ahead. I actually did read ahead some for this. Not step by step, but some. So this is not going to be a simple process. It's going to be a complex process. Now, I wonder if we have any viewers. Live streaming. We haven't had one. Oh, we had 2 views. This is how long they lasted. Oh, yeah. So this is the norm for my show. Oh, okay. Here are the live control panel. Shows me the concurrent viewers and the views. So this is normal, right? Actually, it's 2 views more than normal for this time. But concurrent viewers, 0. So I'm used to that. I usually broadcast live to an audience of 0. I've learned to accept that. All right. Installing Authentik for authentication and single sign-on. Okay, so many free and open source. One of my big bad habits is if I see a big block of text like this, I very often just skip it. I shouldn't do that, but so OpenID auth 2. So yeah, look at all the stuff that's involved here. Due to the proliferation of point source technologies, users have to create a myriad of user accounts, each requesting an email, password, username. Yeah, it's a problem. So an alternative is to adopt an authentication and authorization solution. Authentication means creating a single link between a real physical person and their online identity, usually managed with a login and password, but might also include multi-factor authentication or authorization. And this can then be used to implement a single sign-on system that provides the option to all those with credentials on it to access. So, the Authentik project offers quite good documentation for Docker Compose installation too. This tutorial should be seen as a complement to that, perhaps providing a bit more guidance. Now, that's important to me because it means there's a backup. If I don't understand Dave Lane's instructions, I can go back to the documentation on Authentik. So I'm just going to open that in a new tab. There it is there. But we're going to follow Dave Lane because he's learned, because I've done some stuff before. He's generally pretty good. So here are the steps. You see, it's not going to be simple. It's going to be a multi-part thing. I don't know how long this is going to take me. I like to do these in an hour or so, but they never take an hour. Usually they take longer. I'll try to break this up into parts if it does take too long. All right, so preparing a suitable server. Yeah, as Dave Lane says, all the OER foundation services share a common hosting platform. You'll need to create a replica of that platform. Everything else in this post assumes you followed those instructions. So, I've encountered this before with some of his stuff. Okay, Authentik developers suggest a minimum VPS, virtual private server, of 2 CPU cores and 2 gig RAM. So a very small instance should suffice. All right. So what we have to do now is create a replica of that platform. Creating your own OER foundation style Libra self-hosting infrastructure with Docker Compose and Ubuntu LTS. This could be a separate episode on its own, except I already did this as a separate episode on its own once before. It failed. So I'm going to try again. So there's a ton of stuff here. Tips for this tutorial. It's aimed at adventuresome would-be system administrators. Okay. If you try it out and decide not to follow it, so long as you delete your VPS, you should not be out of pocket by more than a few cents. I can attest to that. Experimenting with this stuff turns out to be quite cheap. Running a server for any length of time, a little more expensive, but I tell you, doing it this way, if you can do it this way, it's so much better than buying a hosted service. You're really doing a lot better. Okay. So, virtual private server, VPS. Okay. So, I'm assuming you've got a computer with an internet connection. Yes. That can run an SSH. Yes. And you can copy paste stuff from this tutorial in your browser into a terminal window or into a text editor. And yeah, and you have to use Control-Shift-V. Control-V is used as a shortcut for something else in Unix terminals since long before the Windows world started using Control-C and Control-V. Yeah. So that's a note, a useful note. We'll see what works for us here. Okay, so creating a virtual private server. So first place is to create host instances. Okay. You can use a local piece of computing hardware in your home. Probably shouldn't, right? And of course, nobody will be able to access it if it's not running. Making a reliable system is hard. Yeah. The more cost-effective self-hosting experience is to lease a low-cost commodity Linux virtual private server, usually running Ubuntu Linux, or the latest long-term support version. Okay. We've used quite a few. DigitalOcean I've used. Linode I've never used. Vulture I've used. Hetzner I've used. Turnkey Linux I've never used. And there are others. I'm going to use Hetzner because he uses Hetzner and they're not US owned and they're also pretty cheap. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. We recommend you provision your VPS with the following spec: 4 to 8 gigs of RAM, 2 to 4 virtual CPUs, 80 to 160 gig space, Linux, and extra storage, 20 to 40 gig. This is a long-term storage option separate to your operating system drive. This is very useful in the event that your app inadvertently fills your hard drive. You'll thank yourself for doing this, I assure you from bitter experience. Okay, so you'll need to create an account for yourself from your hosting provider. Okay. You'll find, and it's a good idea to use two-factor authentication. If you don't already have an SSH key, I encourage you to create one and specify the public key in the process of creating your server. Now, I've always had issues with this, but I'm going to try to do it and we'll see how it goes. You'll need to note the server's IPv4 address, right? It's the 4 numbers, and it will also have an IPv6 address. With either one of those, you should be able to log on to your new server via SSH. So, followed by the enter key, that'll be true. Okay, there's too much instructions, not enough doing. Okay. In some cases, depending on your hosting provider, you'll have a password, or if you've specified a pre-existing SSH key, you shouldn't need to enter a password at all. You should be logged in. See, that's the magic part that very often fails for me. If it returns root, you're the root. If not, you're a normal user, etc. How much more here are we going to go? Key variables for your VPS. Get your domain lined up. Okay, so let's not do that just yet. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is create my SSH key. See, this should be in the form of instructions and step by step, right? So the first step is create an SSH key. How do you create an SSH key? Help test geek. Okay, so we have instructions. What are SSH keys? Okay. How to use Windows to generate SSH keys? All right. Using OpenSSH via Windows PowerShell. So let's do that. If you want to use OpenSSH, you need to check that it's installed. Open settings. Settings. Okay. So mine seems a bit different. Okay. Apps and features. Okay, apps and features. Apps and features isn't here, so I'll just look for it. Apps and features. All right, optional features, which was next. Okay, so now what? Yeah, I know. It took a long time to actually get into doing stuff. Okay, optional features. Add a feature, OpenSSH client. Oh, okay. So that's new to me. Optional features. OpenSSH client. It's already installed. Okay. I got lots of stuff already installed. I didn't realize that. Okay, OpenSSH client. Install. Now we'll go into Windows PowerShell. Right-click the Start menu. Okay. It's kind of hard to see there, but it's way down on the lower left-hand side. Windows PowerShell does not show up as an option. It would be right under Task Manager, right over, oh, Terminal Admin. Terminal and Terminal Admin. Okay, so that's probably the same thing. In your new Windows PowerShell. Okay, here we are. So is this, yes, this is Windows PowerShell. So this just the name was slightly different. Type SSH, is that right? Yeah. Type SSH keygen and press the enter key. SSH keygen, press the enter key, generating a public, private, etc. Okay. C users Steve SSD. I'm just going to press enter to go with the default. Okay, so it'll use RSA by default. You could change the method. Okay, so it already exists. Do I use that for anything? I don't know. No. So let's try that again. SSH keygen. Only let's change the name slightly. ID RSA new. RSA new. That'll do. Enter passphrase. Okay, let's think about this. This encrypts your private key on your P and is typically recommended, though it isn't required. What's going on here? My content sort of disappears. Oh, how weird. Huh. And I can't seem to reload the page. It's probably because, it might be because I'm right in the middle. I'm just going to go with no passphrase. And it has been saved. Okay. And so there's a fingerprint and there's a random art image. All right. So okay, well that's really strange. Do my other pages work, or is it just this one? Oh, here we go. Oh, no. How weird. Usually when this happens, it's because it's trying to throw up some advertising on me. And it's fighting with uBlock origin. Okay. So we'll just use Chrome, which isn't as resistant to that sort of stuff. Okay, so we've done that. All right. Once you've added the passphrase, it'll generate the required keys into the folder. Okay, so once you've generated your keys, you need to move your public key to the ss.ssh directory on your remote PC, Mac, or server. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. Let's look at those keys. So, users, Steve, SSH. So here they are, right? That's the public key right there. That's the private key right there. And these are some old ones. Okay. Good enough. Okay. So we've done that. That's using putty. And okay, we don't need to do that. All right. So we'll go back. Go back. Wow, this is really messed up. Okay. So, let's see if I can't get back to where I was. Control H. My Firefox just totally messed up here. You never know what's going to happen, right? Like, look at this. What on earth is going on? I'm just going to shut it down completely. I don't know what happened to Firefox, but status green. This process is in efficiency mode to limit. How weird. End task. I've never heard of an efficiency mode, but okay. Now it's closed. All right, so I don't know what happened there, but let's open it up again. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. New window. Yeah, I like Dua Lipa. Sue me. All right. Control H. Creating your own. Okay. All right. So we're back to where we were. That was step one. Okay. So now that we've done that, now we're going to go to Hetzner. So Hetzner, and I've been here many times before. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to log in to the cloud service, which is what I use. Okay. I use 1Password. It's pretty handy for me. And now I'm in. You can see here's some of the other stuff that I've been making. All right. So I'm going to create a new cloud service. So where do I create that? I'm creating a new project. Authentik. Add project. Let's go into my project. So we're going to add a server. We're going to put it in Nuremberg. We're going to use Ubuntu 22.04. We're going to give it a dedicated CPU, maybe, or a shared VE. Okay, so this would be $11.99 a month, euros, as compared to $7.05 a month, euros. Not suitable for sustained high CPU. Okay, medium, low to medium CPU. Yeah, I think we'll just use a shared. I don't think we'll need dedicated. Although delivers predictable performance, and it is authentication. Let's go with the dedicated. Okay, what else did he say I needed? Okay, 4 to 8 gig of RAM, 2 to 4 virtual CPUs. So 4 to 8 gig of RAM, so there's 8. 2 to 4 virtual CPUs, so we'll have 2. If you go to 4, price doubles, right? 8 to 160 gig space. Traffic, we'll never hit that traffic. Price per hour, okay. And then extra storage. So we don't see extra storage here. There's the networking. Okay. So I don't see where to add extra storage. It's probably under volumes. Okay. So I'm going to go with shared VPU because this might be getting expensive. All right. So vCPUs. It's still going to be about the same price, isn't it? No, I vacillate a lot, don't I? So we'll go with this. I don't want to spend that much. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go 2 vCPUs. How many gig RAM did he say? 4 to 8 gig of RAM. So 2 with 4 gig of RAM. Yeah, that's a better price. 40 gig of SSD. Is that going to be enough? He said 80 to 160. So 2. Okay, with 8 gig of RAM and 80. See, now we're up to $920 a month already. Well, it's still cheaper. Traffic 20 terabytes. If I go up to 4, it takes it up to 60. I'm back to where I was, right? I'm being cheap because I know I'm going to add more costs when I add volumes. Okay, I'm going to go with this. So 2 virtual CPU, because it's going to be a very low traffic application. So 2 vCPUs, 8 gigs of RAM, an 80 gig SSID for 920 a month euros. Okay, networking. Okay, SSH key. So we're going to add my SSH key. So how do I do that? It says create. Create. And when I wanted to just add the one I created. Oh, okay, never mind, I get it. We'll come back here. Okay, users, Steve, SSH. Here's my public key that I just created. We'll open it up. Come on. There's my SSH key. I'm going to copy it with Control C. I'm going to put it in here. And we'll call it Steve at Alien. Set as default key. Add SSH key. Alright, it likes that. Okay. So, I probably should have used the name that it is in here, but okay, whatever. Okay, volumes. Now this is where we're going to add the extra storage that was recommended. So he recommended 20 to 40 gigs extra. So we'll create a volume. We'll create 40 because it's cheap. Okay, there's the name for it. It'll be Nuremberg. You will be billed for the volume even if you do not finish creating the server. So let's keep that in mind. I just went with the default file service. Okay. Now, he didn't mention firewalls, did he? No. Configuring your firewall. Okay, we'll get that later. Okay, so we won't worry about that now. We'll do that later. We'll do it ourselves. Okay. It's always good to check. Backups. You know what? Whoops. Create a backup. It costs 20% of your server price. You want a backup. Because you're stupid if you don't back up. Placement groups, we don't need labels. I don't think we need those. We can configure those later, I believe. Cloud configuration. Okay, again, he hasn't mentioned this. Has he? Let's come back to our article. No, he hasn't mentioned that at all. So we'll just skip past that. It might be a problem, it might not. Nobody knows. The name, we're just going to call it base server. Name is invalid. Base server. That's better. Okay. All right. Create and buy now. All right. So we've created our server. I'm on the hook for $11.54 a month. Just say it's not, and I'll do so much stuff with this. It's not really a problem. Although if €11.54 a month is a challenge, then you should be doing it on your own computer. But it's a lot harder. Okay, get your domain lined up. You will want to have a domain to point to your server so you don't need to remember the IP number. So he uses meta name. I use different domain names. I'm going to use my downs.ca for this one. Should I? Yeah, because I can always point another domain to the same server later. So, so we create an A record that associates my website's name to the IPv4 address of the server. So you would want to enter the IPv4 address. Okay, so let's find this. Here's my IPv4 address. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go to, now I keep, right for now, I'm going to change this at some point, which will be a whole other episode. But for now, I use Reclaim to host my records. And so I'll go into cPanel. And I'm going to go into Zone Editor. And see, here's downs.ca. This is really common. If you've registered a domain name, this will look very similar to you. I'm going to go with Manage. And I'm going to give myself a new A record. So add a record. It's going to be called base.downs.ca. And we'll give it this address, and we'll save the record. Now it says time to live 1440, which I think is like a day. This will start working right away, is my experience. So let's see what it looks like. Base.downs.ca, and it should resolve to my new Hetzner server, although there's nothing on it. So it might not show anything. Yeah, there's nothing to connect. All right. But that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. All right. Next. So I have my domain set up. Editing files. Okay. Oh, we need to get into the server with SSH, right? Yes. How are we going to do that? Has he talked about that yet? He hasn't, really. Oh, here we go. You should be able to log into your new server via SSH. Okay. Right, okay, we're back here. So I wish this presentation were more step by step. He's doing a lot of explaining, and that's great, but I wish it was step by step. Because that would keep me, I found before when I've worked through his stuff, I find myself skipping a step because I didn't even know it was there. And that's because I'm reading along to figure out what's going on, and I realize, okay, I have to back up, find the steps that he specified, and do them. And it's not always clear, right? So you see, you need to create an account. Okay, so if you don't already have an SSH key, create one. And you see what happened, right? I created my key, then I had to create the whole server. Now I can log in, right? But this isn't the order, right? I have to create the key before doing my server even. Okay. So you should be able to log into your server via SSH. Okay. So let's come back to, whoops. Oh, it's over here. Okay. This is our PowerShell, right? SSH should exist. Yeah. So you can tell that it exists because I typed in SSH and it gave me instructions. So, doing precisely what he says, you should be able to log in to your server using SSH and then the IP. So let's try that. Okay, the authenticity is not known. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. This is brand new. That's why it's not known. Okay. Password. See, if you've specified your pre-existing SSH key, you don't need a password. Okay, so, but see, here's the problem. If you've specified, now, how do you do that? See, this is the problem. This is the problem. Okay, so we'll Control C out of that. So let's search. See, this, I've never been able to make this work. And I do this stuff for a living. So PowerShell, specify your SSH or your key. Okay. All right, so we generated it. Key-based authentication. Okay. Host key generation. There's the key gen. All right. Okay, so there's the output. Okay, by default, the SSH agent is disabled. Configure it to start automatically. Make sure you're running as an administrator. Okay, so first, okay, we'll copy all of that. Oh, we'll just copy the whole thing and then try to run it here. Paste anyways. Okay. And that didn't work. Oh. Status running SSH agent. Okay. Oh, it did work. Now load your key files into the SSH agent. All right. Except my key file was ID RSA new. ID RSA new. Okay. So we'll type that in. ID RSA. Was it capital, lowercase? RSA new. Okay. Whoops. RSA new. All right. Identity added. Perfect. Steve add alien. Okay. Now, see, this is never in any of the instructions. I'm lucky I found this. Okay. So now, okay. The contents of your public key need to be placed in the server. Okay. Oh, that's deploying. Well, let's just see if I can log in if I don't have to do anything else. No, I still have to use something else. Okay. All right. Okay, the content All right, so we'll just copy all of this. So we have to get the content. So we're getting the content of this file, putting it in a variable called authorized key, and then generate the PowerShell to be run remote that will copy the public key file generated previously. Okay, so let's do that. Paste anyways. Okay. All right, it's again, this has to be okay, authorized key. All right. So the name of the key should be RSA new.pub. Okay. Now we're going to create something called remote PowerShell. Okay. Remote PowerShell, new item, force. Okay, so what we're doing is we're forcing it to use, I assume, our keys. Yeah. So we're creating, we're creating an instance of PowerShell with some predefined paths, including the path for the key. That worked. And then SSH. Now we can connect to it. Okay, username at domain. So I'm just going to type in the domain. We won't bother with the username just yet. What was our domain? It was this. So we'll copy this and come back here. So could also use base.downs.ca, right? But I'll just use this for now. That was a Control V, by the way. And hit that. It's still asking for my damn password. Okay. Relax. Let's see. Let's try root at. And okay, this is different. And nothing happened. For crying out loud. See what I mean? This is useless stuff. I know other people have made this work, but I've never made this work. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Well, I found all this for the first time. Still doesn't work. Maybe. All right, let's here. So this is my server. Now I know I can go into this with a web hosted shell somewhere. Boy, I'd sure love to go into this with my SSH key, though. You know what I mean? Hetzner. Access. SSH with key. PowerShell. Okay, let's try this. Right. I want to use Windows PowerShell to do this because installing Linux subset, I've done all of that. It can be done, but it's really annoying. Okay, let's check our version of PowerShell. Come on. Control C to copy. Control V. Okay, so it's 5.1. It's 5.1. Good. Okay, open SSH client is needed. We have that. Okay. Okay, use root. And for crying out loud. Okay. Setting up automatic, okay, managing. See, there is no password that actually, see, this is the problem here. So I do all of this, and then I follow this instruction, right? And then there is no password because I've specified an SSH key. So Hetzner never did specify a password, and it never will have sent me email about this new server. I'll just check to be sure, but yeah, so see, we never got email from Hetzner confirming this. So the only way to access this server is with the SSH key. So when I do this thing where it's asking, where you just type in SSH root at and then whatever, it asks for a password, but there is none. And you can't just hit enter, it won't work. So, okay, I'm going to skip these. Okay, generating an SSH key. So, file, ID, type. Okay, you have to save this key, this public key, in the authorized keys on your server. Authorized keys contain the public key of all key pairs used. Okay. For more information, setting up an SSH key. Okay. Generating an SSH. Okay, we did that. Type. We did that. Oh, we didn't use a T. Okay. So it doesn't tell us which type of key to use, it just gives us options. Okay. Set a passphrase, we did all that. All right, opening the key. When you generate a SSH key, okay, important files include, okay, I didn't get a file called authorized keys. Okay, the ID, private key, public key. Authorized keys are for the public keys of all device or the okay. Use the following command to open the SSH directory. So, let's see. See, they're not telling us SSH directory on my local machine or on the server. But let's go to the server. Now, can I enter this console? All right, so this is the cheating way. Base server login. There is no login. Crap. No password. Control C again. All right. Again, I have no way to log in. Security. SSH keys. Okay, so this should work. I wonder. This won't work, but I'm going to try it anyways. Oops. It's not going to work. Password. Like that. Okay, well, let's just connecting to the server. Okay. Okay. First time there'll be a warning about host authenticity, yes. Okay. Okay. I can't connect to my device though. See, this is so annoying. I haven't even come close to my Authentik. Oh, no. It's known hosts. I don't even have a known hosts. Oh, yeah, there it is. Right. Yeah, it doesn't help me a bit. Okay. What does this do? Type that in, and now I'll replace that with the IP of this server. IP. All right. It's found it 3 times, 2 times. Could be our problem. I don't know. I don't know, right? I've probably used this URL before with Hetzner. So, come back here. Remove the old fingerprint. Right, okay. Okay, remove the old fingerprint from the old host. Okay, so we're going to do that. We'll copy this. And then we'll paste that, and then we'll copy this, paste that, and replace this with that. Cannot stat known hosts. Right, because all right. And then we'll just oops. Do it that way. Known hosts updated. Right, so it's found 3 separate lines. Okay. Now, okay. Okay, now. Now, I wonder if this HOLU with your own username, but I don't have a username. Because he created a server without a username. Right? Yeah. The only username on this would be root. And if I try to access it, it's going to ask for a password. Console. See, root. It's going to ask for a password. And the login is incorrect. Typed root as a password. It's still going to be incorrect. Because there is no password. Okay. Let's come back to Hetzner. Connecting to the server. Now this step doesn't work. Okay. If there's no warning, you can continue with step 4. Okay, if there's no warning, so let's try it without the warning then. So we'll try SSH root. Okay. SSH root at, and then the server address, Control V for that. The key is not known by any other names. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes, no, fingerprint. Fingerprint? All right. Okay. Once you know how to generate an SSH key and how to connect to the remote device, oh, these are options. Okay. Okay, so let's cancel out here. Control C. Okay. If you only have one, you just simply enter the command. Otherwise, we actually have to specify more graphics you would like to add to the remote user. Okay, so SSH. So I do have more than one SSH key, so I'm going to have to specify it. All right. See, and part of the problem here is the way this is. This is a Linux format, right? And wouldn't necessarily work on Windows. This specifies my home directory as a Linux user. But, okay, let's do this. SSH copy ID. Okay. So it might not work, but I'm gonna get my URL here. Get my URL right. Or URL, my IP address. Okay, and I'll put that in here. Okay, the term SSH copy ID. Okay, it's not a program. Alternatives to SSH copy ID. Right, this is exactly the error I get. Okay, let's see, it mentions a manual method. Does it? Does it really? Right. Cat make deer, cat nano. Jeez. If you cannot use SSH, you can use the command below as an alternative. Note that you will be asked to enter the password of the user you are trying to connect to. But my user doesn't have a password. All right. On your Windows machine, you then use the I parameter. Okay, let's try this. Okay. Path to private key file. That was new. And we're in the right directory, so we don't need the path. And then root at machine, and the machine will be our IP address. Like that. Okay, let's try that. Okay, are we sure you want to continue? Yes. And I'm in. Okay, so that's the secret. All right. So, I'm going to rename this. Okay. I finally made it work. Okay. So, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to wipe this all out and do it quickly from scratch just to make sure I can replicate it. But let's create some instructions here. Okay. We'll just make it a new Blogger post. New post. Creating a server. Creating a cloud server with accessing with SSH keys using Windows Powershell. Okay. On Hetzner. We'll just on Hetzner. So that's a pretty SEO friendly. Pretty SEO friendly. So if anybody else runs into this. Okay. So step 1. Create and okay. Step 1. We got to go all the way back to all the way back to making sure generator and SSH. No, that's not it. I think this was one of Dave Lane's instructions, right? Okay. VPS properties. Get your domain lined up. Oh, okay. We haven't even gotten that far. Okay. Log into your new server via SSH. How do you use SSH to come out to a remote server? Okay. Okay, Windows PowerShell. Okay. Right, here we go. Okay. Install the SSH service on the Windows computer. Okay. Oh, this seems very old. this is. See why there should be dates. Oh, there it is. Well, it's 11/06/2023. That's like 19 days ago. That's pretty recent. Get the latest version of PowerShell. I don't know why my right copy is just not working. It's really weird. Oops. Oh. Escape to cancel. Something's taking over my copy. Okay, anyhow. Okay, so all right, oops. 1. Make sure you have PowerShell. Version, whatever it was. See, this is so hard to find these instructions even again. General setup information. Okay. Get PowerShell version. What did I use? It's way up above somewhere. Here we go. No, that's install the latest PowerShell for Okay. I think I'm on PowerShell 5.1. Oh, let's make this simpler. Okay. Here's a better way of doing this. Which version of PowerShell do I have? Type PS version table dot PS version. Let's see if that works. I love that. Like, it's just so wrong. Jeez, I hate stuff like that. That shouldn't even be showing up. PS version table, PS version, let's try that. Command not found. So that's a piece of crap. Windows Powershell, just PS version table. Nothing happens. Huh. Oh, isn't that weird? Let's just open PowerShell in the main window. There we go, that worked. So 5.1. Okay. 5.1 or better. And I like to use Courier font text for commands that you type. Okay. And update PowerShell. Why you just partition wizard? Right, why does Google give me partition wizard instead of Microsoft for installing PowerShell? I mean, it's just useless, right? Oh, and it's still on Courier font. No, not just normal. I think it was Times is what I had. All right. Two, make sure you have the SSH service installed. Type SSH. Oops. Courier. Sure, it's back to Times. You get an error. Install SSH. Install SSH. Oh, yeah, I see. here. Okay. Next. Create an SSH key. Create an SSH key. All right. Type. Okay, create an SSH key in PowerShell. Again, we're getting these crap. This is a crap result. Okay, so let's put that in here. And we'll convert this to courier. Oops. No, wait, that's not the name of our key, is it? Is the type of key. Okay. I think this will probably work. We'll find out. All right, this whole thing to be courier. Come on, there we go. Should make these a color too. Yeah. It's not a good color though. Yeah, it's not bad. All right. Okay, type that in. Come back here. This will produce output. here. Okay. All right. Yeah, real exciting video, eh? Okay. Sorry, I forgot that I was narrating a video here. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm just adding the instructions. First of all, how to create the SSH key. Then next, how to make the PowerShell agent start it automatically. So load your key. And load your key. Oops, not that. This courier, and then my color. Yeah. So env user profile. Now, note. Oh, it's still on courier. Jeez. Oops. Note. Is just your home directory, e.g. for me, Seb, user, staff. So I just cd right into the .ssh directory. CD and I just type this. SSH add ID ED 25519. That's what I did actually, and yeah, it was way easier to do that and way clearer. But it's up to you. Okay. Alrighty then. So what was next was, so once you've added this, your SS agent will automatically retrieve the local private key and pass it to your SSH client. Alright, now deploying the public key. Right, but now we need to have our domain and all of that. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do is make our server. Create a new server on Hetzner. So Hetzner, the server. Okay. first of all, I'll create an account on Hetzner. Open the Cloud Console. So that's not what I meant to do. Create a new project. Give it a name. And then in the new project, click Add Server. Click on the Add Server button. Select your configuration from the options provided. I used the following. Okay, so add a server. Okay, location, Nuremberg. Nuremberg. Image, Ubuntu 2204. Type, shared vCPU. Name, options, CPX21. CPX21, and that's basically, oh, no, what did I, no, CPX, or CX31 is what I chose, or is it, whatever. Really doesn't matter, it's just preferences. And then networking, IPv4 and IPv6, and next. Okay. SSH keys. use the same one I had before. Click Add SSH key. Open SSH public key in a text editor. In this case, .pub. Copy all the text, paste the text into the window, to the form. It says should automatically assign a name, but if it doesn't, so let's just test that. Just test it. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll come back to that. All right. Should automatically assign your name. Run the public key. It's at the very end of the text you copied. Okay. Click Add SSH key. Okay, and we'll move on. Create volume. .40 gigs. Don't select firewall. Do that like manually later. Select backup. Alright, we're almost there. Okay, backup. Don't select placement groups label. Or cloud config. Easy to remember name. Create and buy now. All right, so we've created our server. Okay, now we try to access our server. So oh yeah, right. Get the IP address for the server. It's at the top of the page. PG, there's mine. Alrighty. Now I need to remember what I did, because this is where the where things turn loopy. Okay. All right. So what did I do? Okay. Now I've actually got two windows going here. Well, that's just the one where I confirmed that. Okay, this is the one I actually used. Right, now SSH copy ID didn't work. Here's the key. Associate the key with the server. this was ID, right? I think it was ID. Yeah. Let's get that right. Gray. Alrighty, we're getting there. Enter the following command. Log into your server. Root at times, and it should be black. This will all be courier. And gray and enjoy. Now, the only thing that might not work here is I skipped this stuff. So because this create this new PowerShell, this didn't work for me. So let's try now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try it from scratch with a brand new key, because I've got a brand new pair of roller skates and now I've got a brand new key. Well, I don't yet. So I'm going to leave the other one running because, yeah, why not? But I want to test these instructions, make sure that they work. So, okay. Open PowerShell. So, open PowerShell. Open PowerShell. Test and make sure I have version 5.1 or better. I do. Make sure I have SSH installed. I do. Create a new SSH key. Okay, enter which file. I'll just use the default. No passphrase, no passphrase. There we go. Okay. Make your PowerShell agent start automatically. Access is denied because I'm not running as administrator. All right, so we'll close this. We'll open this, and as I recall, if I right-click this, run as administrator. Okay, now let's try that. Oh, access is denied. Why? Oh, how weird. At line 1, car 25. could be because I had already done it. Wow. Let's try run ISE as administrator. I don't know what that is, but it's different. And nothing. No, still the same error. Access is denied. It's got to be because I already did it, right? Let's keep going. We'll see what happens. So I might not even need all of this stuff. All right. Okay, I'm going to load SSH add. I'm going to load it in. So Windows PowerShell cd.ssh identity added. Okay. Steve at alien. Okay. Or Steph at alien, I don't know. Okay. That could be a problem. Okay. Hetzner. Okay, I'm going to make a new server at Hetzner. I wonder what happens if I just type get service SSH agent. Right. That's probably why it was running. Yeah. Stop service. Let's try this. No. Huh. Starting. Running. This is some crap placing in. All right, so there's a glitch in my instructions here, but we'll just press on. We'll press on. Okay. All right. So I'm going to create a new Hetzner server. Okay. Oh, I don't need to be in there. I just need to be in Hetzner. Okay. So, Cloud Console. New project. Test. Add project. Go into the project. Add server. Nuremberg. Ubuntu. Shared. CXP30 or CX31, etc. Add an SSH key. We're going to go into here. Oh, it is a lot shorter. Here's our key for the one we just created. Put it in here. It added a name for me. Add SSH key. All right. Create volume. I'll skip that because I don't need it for this. Server name test. Create and buy now. Okay. There's my IP. Just give it a few seconds to create. Okay, now go back in here, and the key line is associate it. So SSH, just move this up a bit. So SSH -I, and now my key ID ED25519. His name might change. Root at and my new server. We'll hit enter. We'll hit yes. And it's asking for a password. Oh, it seemed so promising. Okay, let's back up a bit. Start service SSH agent. I think it's already running. Oh, start. Okay, SSH add. Did I do that already? I don't know if I did that already. Could not open a connection to your authentication agent. Oh, I'm in. I just hit enter, but I'm in. Oh. Root at base server. Let's exit and try that again. Oh, I get it now. SSH and then use this identity to go into this root. There is no password. It says permission denied. But now that I'm in root, in my server. Okay. But am I root? Or am I just in the server? That's a good question. But yeah, this is the key here. You just SSH and then I must stand for identity, and then the identity you're going to use, and then the server that you're going in as. Let's exit. All right. What if we just did it like this? No, doesn't like that. Okay, let's try it as roots. Yes. So I don't know if I need to start the service and all of this crap. But there's a way I can tell, I can find out. I can like reboot the computer and then try. So let's save this. So I'm going to reboot the computer. That'll end the stream. I'll see if I can't start streaming again after. But this might work. Okay. So I'm going to stop streaming.